Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm live here on DFWIRadio.com. You are tuned into the Zhamir Watson Show. I'm your host, still doing the most, 5 months in.
I'm here.
And I have my guest on the line, Miss Pam Manuel. What's up, Pam?
Hey, how y'all doing?
Doing good. So, you're the CFO and the COO of Manual Group LLC. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, the Manual Group LLC is actually a New Orleans-based consulting firm. We started in the height of the pandemic to consult with small businesses, mainly women-owned and Black and Indigenous people of color, because we were actually one of the people most severely affected by the pandemic. And since then, we've gone to virtually serve the entire United States. We also do a couple of foreign countries as well. I'm currently in Trinidad as well as Germany.
All right, come on now, internationally known. Yeah, because and I'm glad you said you point that out too, because I think the good thing about COVID was it allowed people to expand on their opportunities, especially in a way with people you normally couldn't reach virtually. Um, so that's the one thing I like about that I did like about COVID. And then also I was going to ask you, what was it about, like what was the well, I'm sorry, what made you want to start a consulting firm in the first place?
So I worked for the government during COVID. I actually worked for a local parish in New Orleans called Jefferson Parish. We did a lot of economic development incentives. And of course, we were the people on the front lines planning how we were going to open, what we were going to do. But I saw so many of my people in particular being laid off. New Orleans is mainly based in hospitality, and you have to think with COVID, everything was shut down, so there were no people going to hotels, there were no people going to restaurants, the traditional events that we host. So if y'all hear some stuff in the background today, I'm actually on site at Jazz Fest, but Jazz Fest, Mardi Gras, all of that was over for COVID. So it was a situation of where, how do we keep these people employed? How do we keep these people viable? How do we not let this pandemic suck the life out of them? And one of the things that was important to me was I wanted to be that person that looked like you when you came in. I didn't want you to be afraid to come in and get advice. I didn't want you to be in a situation where you were uncomfortable with the person giving you information because they didn't look like you, they didn't know you, they didn't know what your issues were.
Right. And I'm sure y'all probably was kind of somewhat familiar with it after what happened, with Katrina. Um, it was a little different, but almost kind of a situation. It was a crisis, basically. Um,
It is.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
New Orleans is always very resilient, and what I tell people is you have to take the skills that you currently have and learn how to pivot them to what's going on in the world. The only constant in the world is change, and if you don't change with life, you get left behind.
Come on now, yeah, and I tell people this all the time because, you know, in a lot of ways and situations, change is good, but you still have a lot of people they just don't like change and they just can't adjust, and I think that's another aspect about COVID I like. It taught us to adjust to the unexpected because even for me, like being in media during that time, oh my God, I lost so many opportunities because when the pandemic hit in March of 2020, I was scheduled to host like different events from April up until I think like September. But a lot of those either got canceled or postponed to later dates, and the dates never came. And then once I did start hosting and doing stuff in 2021, I had to do it all virtual, which was a little different because, when you used to hosting in person, you got to basically sit there with a microphone and earpiece and do everything on camera, which is fine, but it's just different because I'm used to interacting with the people, and it go from that to simply just sitting in front of a camera, speaking to the audience through that way. Because
But didn't you find that, I was going to say, didn't you find during this change that you had to adapt, that a lot of the things that you had been taught in terms of production costs, you found out they weren't the reality? like for so many years, people have been trained that you have to be physically in a building 40 hours a week, 5 days a week, and you realize shortly after COVID that the curtain was pulled back. I kind of look at it like the Wizard of Oz. We pull the curtain back and see the wizards just like us. You don't have to be there.
Yeah,
There are a lot of jobs that can be done virtually. There are a lot of things that can come in a virtual space, and there are more opportunities for more people. There's no more gatekeeping of information. Now it's a lot more collaboration than there were prior to COVID.
yeah. Now that I do agree. In certain cases, it was refreshing too to not have uh, to always be there per se, because like there was an event in New York City I hosted. It was honoring Reese Witherspoon, and it was honoring her, and it was also honoring Teachers of America. Well, at first, before they had an uptick in cases, I was supposed to actually be present in New York City. But because of the spikes that kept going up and down, as they often did with COVID, and for health concerns, they had me set up with an affiliate here in Dallas to record the whole thing from my end, and we were all connected through a call. But for the main event, I was connected to like this thing they had set up from New York City, where I hosted here at the hotel at the Hyatt Regency, and then it was broadcasted there. But now it was like a few people there, but it was like they were spaced out and they were wearing masks and stuff like that. And she wasn't present there either. She was kind of like me. They had us both patch in on calls and stuff. So in that sense, it was kind of refreshing too, because you think about it. I'm like, well, they did save me time. I try to get to the DFW airport, get on the flight, get to LaGuardia Airport, and then try to So in that sense, yeah, it kind of helps you with that hustle and bustle dealing with traffic and stuff like that. Even though I do enjoy those things, 'cause I like to travel and meet different people. But it was refreshing at the time too, because I had family members that was dying around that time. So I was dealing with stuff like that. So yeah, it taught us how to change and pivot. But with your company, uh, since COVID, have you had an increase in business, or has it been about the same?
I actually had an increase in business since COVID because originally um, I was contracted to the state. I only worked with certain agencies, and then there were a few people that knew what I did outside of my state job. But during COVID, there were so many people and so much. It was just so much of a need in the area that I started locally, and then I had friends and people that I helped reach out to other people and say, hey, you may not have your traditional accountant, you may not have someone that you can traditionally go to, but this lady is educated, she's done this is her resume, these are the people that she's helped, and these are the things she's doing behind the scenes, just give her a call. And it really let me see how much inequity was in the world, because there were people that I would have never touched had it not been for COVID, because I wouldn't have had the time. The other side of that is they wouldn't have found me because they wouldn't have had such a need. And it's amazing that I rarely advertise. I just recently was told I need to get into the social media and being consistent. And I'm like, I don't have time to do that because I'm actually helping people. So I hired my first social media manager. And she's like, if you were consistently in a space, do you know I could triple what you do? And so we looked at, I believe it was my Google Analytics, and we looked at a couple of my platforms and how they're doing. And just since she's been on board, and she's been on board maybe about 10 days, I've had a 25% increase in traffic.
Come on now, and see, I'm the same like you. Like, okay, so recently, I just got back. I don't know if you saw it on social media. I just started back going to public events because, again, since COVID, I haven't really been to a public event since what was it, February 2020, right, like a month before the pandemic hit. And like I said, I hosted that event in 2021, but like I said, it wasn't as public, like being around people. Like it was virtual. But when I went to this event recently, some of my people who it was in my network was like, boy, you need to start posting more on Instagram and LinkedIn. So don't judge me when I tell you this, but okay, so on LinkedIn, I haven't used my LinkedIn account in 8 years. And when I see, the reason why I haven't used it was because when I set that account up back in 2016, I honestly was using it for, looking for a job. Because, it, I was looking at like
Hmm.
Indeed, or, at the time they had, what was it, Monster or something like that. Um,
Yeah.
I just use it for jobs, but people, they were telling me like, boy, you can network with that. To my most people use it for networking purposes and stuff now. So I was like, okay. So 2 weeks ago, I started using it, and I had an increase in followers and stuff like that. Instagram was kind of the same thing. I don't really use Instagram that much, as you as you can see. I just recently started using it again as a suggestion from them, saying, use it more. Instagram could be like a networking tool, also, especially considering that you in media. So I was like, okay, again, I got an increase in followers and stuff like that. So I'm gonna start posting on a little bit more. But kind of like you too, sometimes it's hard to really post on social media a lot because there's so many platforms. Like you got Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. Now Instagram got that thing, what is it called? Treads or something like that. I'm just like,
Threads, yep, they're
yeah.
doing so much with social media now. What I do tell my clients when I consult them, they were like, well, how do I get a social media presence? And I'm like, you really want to ask me? I'm not the social media maven. But, however, I have found some apps that allow you to post to multiple platforms at a time. One of my favorites is Social IQ. You can link up to 6 social media platforms. And once you post on one, it formats them for all, so they kind of go out and you're sending a consistent message. The other thing I've learned is when you're a solopreneur, a small business owner, or even if you have a small team, you can't do it all.
Right.
I check what I do, but I also hire somebody else to, when I'm speaking, when I'm in different engagements, when I'm different places, I make sure that there's someone monitoring my social media and doing what needs to be done. I'll be at a conference in 2 weeks, and I'll be speaking on financial literacy and how it's changed and how retirement has changed and how the workplace has changed. So I'll be out of communicate for about 3 or 4 days. Well, if I'm giving the best of me for 3 or 4 days, once I give a speech, once I do an event, I come in my room, I retire, I rest, I recharge for the next day because I want to give people that same energy.
Right.
Day to day, if not better energy. So I don't have time to look at social media and see what people are saying, or I don't have time to respond to all my requests. But having a team in place that says, hey, Pam, this is what's trending. This is what people want answers to. Can you give me a blurb, or can you give me some feedback? And they'll take my words and post them for me. Funny story, when you asked me, you said, hey, send me something about the mayor group. I sent you what I had immediately. I talked to my social team, and I'm sure you got the one yesterday. She was like, let me send you something that's more detailed. And I was like, well, where you been, lady? Where you been?
Well, no, and that's true
So,
because, and please send me the information about that, what you have where you can just send it to that thing and then send it to all social media platforms at the same time. Because listen, I'm kind of like you, like, and especially now, that's one of the reasons why I'm taking a break from school because I started school back in January working on an animation degree, and the end of March. I was telling my professors because the next wave of class I had to take, I was like, I'm gonna wait and take those after I do my book signings and stuff, probably like in August or September. And the reason being is because since the success of my last book, I'm getting more opportunities to, do different things. And when I thought about it, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna wear myself ragged trying to go to school, do this, and then in March, um, I don't know if you noticed, I didn't do my show at all in March because I had a family emergency that I went home every weekend. That was another thing too, kind of like what you were saying. I had to get a team of people to do stuff in my absence because life happens and stuff, pop up unexpectedly. And then sometimes too, you just, you may
you
just,
don't have the energy for it.
right, you just exhausted because like, like with this book tour coming up, this time, like with my publicist, we've been trying to get together on how to execute this properly so that way I won't get burnt out. Because even like I was supposed to come to New Orleans back in February, but that one and the Atlanta date got postponed because at the time I was in school and I had some stuff come up here in Dallas that I was asked to do, and I was trying to do them all at the same time. I'm like, okay, this is gonna drive me crazy because I can't do all this. So now we're trying to get together and get a team of people to help me in the event that if I can't do something or it's something I just can't, fulfill, they can do that in my apps. And especially with the social media stuff. Like sometimes people be like, oh, I sent you a message or I sent you this and this. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I've been trying to ignore you. It's just, I got a lot going on. I'm trying to tackle this, tackle this, tackle that. And you think you can do it all, but you really do need a team of people.
You do need a team of people, but what I also tell my clients, especially first-time entrepreneurs or people this is their first time handling everything, I usually sit down once or twice a year and I plan out my year. There's a great app called Year Compass, and I review what I did the prior year, what went well, what didn't go so well, what I would like to accomplish, and then I break my year down into quarters. And by breaking my year down into quarters, I can actually see what's ahead of me. Because
Right.
you don't know when you first start an event, you're like, oh, I'm putting my business out here. This is what I want to do. This is how I'm going to do it. And of course, you've been there. There's slow traction in the beginning. But
Hmm.
once that fire, say you get some motion and that motion starts going, everything pops up. You have to be able to say no. And one of the things I didn't want to do in the beginning as an entrepreneur is tell people no. I felt like I had to help everybody. I had to do something for everybody. I had to be all things to everybody because I didn't want to lose the client. I didn't want
Yep.
to step out on faith and waste my investment. And I realized that everybody's not my client, that I'm not for everybody, that I'm not meant to be with everybody. There are people that I serve, and I've been with them in a while, and I said, hey, I don't think I'm the best coach or consultant for you, but let me recommend you to somebody that's more aligned with what you're doing. Sometimes you got to be able to make referrals. Sometimes you have to turn down what you think is an opportunity or postpone that opportunity to when you're in a better space. Because I always tell people you can't pour from an empty cup. And if you run ragged, if you're burning the candle at both ends, it does meet in the middle.
Yeah,
And trust me, you will drop, you will stop, and that hurts you more than anything because you'll feel like, hey, I'm a failure. I let these people down. Or what if it was an event that somebody actually really needed you to be there, you just couldn't be there because you overcommitted? That
it's,
leaves a bad taste with your clientele. That I tell people it only takes a couple of minutes to destroy a year's worth of work.
and that's 100% true. And that's kind of what I was doing. I was overcommitting at times. And then, too, I'm not going to lie. I know it's bad to say this. I was exhausted because, like, okay, so the weekend I was supposed to go to Atlanta, um, I had a lot of stuff going on at work that week. And then, like I said, it was a situation back home in my home state of Arkansas, with my family with, health concerns. I was thinking about that. And then when it came close to that time to actually go, they was like, hey, you remember you got to go to Atlanta? I'm like, oh, I said, I'm sorry, I ain't gonna be able to make it. Cause like I was just worn out mentally. I couldn't do it. And like you were saying, I didn't want to go to Atlanta saying, okay, well, I promised these people this, let me go down there this, and then I'm not fully energized. My mind is somewhere else. I'm not focused. I was like, I don't want to be tired and exhausted, you know, meeting people. And then, and kind of what you said too, I was also over exerting myself too because I didn't want to tell people no. When they was like, oh, can you do this? I was like, yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then not realizing that I overcommitted and over scheduled, or the schedules overlapped. Like I had to be at one event at 11 to 12, then another one from like 1 to 2, not realizing that it was going to probably take me about 40 minutes to get there, a few minutes to set up. I'm like, it's going to be too much. So this time I said I'm gonna do it like kind of what you said. I was planning everything out. I took a break from school because I was like, okay, I got 2 new books coming out. Me and my publisher were getting together. We just got together a couple of days ago. We're getting together again here, excuse me, next weekend to carefully plan out everything according to my schedule. And then also um, with these book tours, try to get them more scheduled during the week so that way my weekends will be a little bit more open to other stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
and then bring on more people who have expertise in, like you're saying, time management, the social media stuff. Because finding a social media, uh, like a digital marketer, is not that hard nowadays, especially considering everybody has them for, for their companies. So yeah, it's a lot, and people don't realize that when you doing certain things, especially for me, time is my worst enemy. God, that's my worst enemy. So, like with your time, obviously, seems like you got yours managed pretty well. Do you still run in those situations where it's like, dang, it's just not enough time in the day?
And look, I do. I still run into those situations, but not as frequently because, like you said, I look at my time carefully now, and I look at my week ahead, and I say, hey, I have this plan. If somebody calls, I don't even let people call me directly anymore unless you're on a certain level. Anything
Right.
is, hey, call my assistant, call here. I give people QR codes and say, if you want me to speak, if you want me to talk, scan this QR code, tell her the date, the time, what you need, and she will let you know if I'm available. Because then I don't feel bad personally if she's like, nope, can't do it. She don't have it. Because I give her hard and fast parameters on what I can do. I'm like, look, June is coming up. You know, I'm a Gemini. So I
Already.
tell people, look, I celebrate my month.
Right.
And I'm like, look, I'm only going to take 4 engagements in June. I'm not taking any the week of the 14th. So I only have 4 engagements. I'm only giving 2 hours per engagement. Outside of that, they got to go May, July, but that's it for June. June is closed. When I give her those hard and fast deadlines, even if somebody calls me and say, oh, Pam, I really need you. I need you to do this, and that. I'm like, did you call Quinita? And Quinita's like, no, she can't do it. But Pam, she can't do it. I don't have to tell them no. I don't have to be the bad guy. I pay her to be the bad guy.
Well, no, that's true because just recently, kind of like what you're saying, because I'm a Gemini too, so that's where we click. Um, just recently, I got asked, which I told them, they can work with it. I got asked to do 4 speaking engagements in June. Um, I politely told them no. I said we can do July because that's my birthday month, and then also around that time I have something planned that I plan on doing for like my family and friends here in Dallas to celebrate my recent or upcoming book releases. So I said I won't be available around those times. Now, luckily, 2 of the people that I told this to directly on the phone were people that I actually know. Um, One is a pastor in Oak Cliff. He wanted me to come speak to the public about literacy and publishing and all this stuff. And then there was another one. Uh, they're actually in Atlanta. I told them I can't do June, but July would be better. And they was like, okay. But the other 2, um, they seemed okay with it. But like you said, you never know if that can mess up your relationship with somebody. If you tell them no, you can't do it that time, and then if something was to come around again, they'd be like, well, we don't know what we can deal with Zhamir. Zhamir too busy. So
But you have to be okay with that. Sometimes I tell people, if an opportunity presents yourself and it feels like a forced opportunity, if they're forcing you to do something that's outside of your comfort zone, that's outside of your availability, maybe that's just not your opportunity. I found that when an opportunity is meant for me, whether I can take it the first time, the second time, or even the 5th time, it presents itself because it's meant for me. I always tell people, you can't determine your destiny, but you can delay it. Sometimes you may delay your progress, but if it's an opportunity that's meant for you, it will represent itself.
exactly. Yeah, so that's my biggest challenge is time management and then the overflow of opportunity. And don't get me wrong, I'm happy to get them, but it's just sometimes it can be a little overwhelming because and I think for me too, it's my fault because you get so excited that people want to you know you know have your input and ask for your expertise, but then you don't realize too that I'm like I already told these people 2 weeks ago I was coming up here on the same day, and I done told you. You don't realize that until after the fact because I've done that quite a few times, and then
Mm-hmm.
not only that, like I said, with these book tours and stuff, like the dates, are so close sometimes that you don't realize that, you still do have a personal life, like family situations pop up, just unexpected stuff just pop up, and you don't realize until it comes up, and then you're like, oh God, I got this coming up on Saturday, and I'm already dealing with this, like. What am I gonna do? So that's why with my social media accounts, I do get on there often and tell people, look, I wasn't able to make it to such and such and such because I don't have to tell them the reason why. I just say it's a personal situation or something like that. But I do want to inform them because if people see that you was
That's the
already
courteous thing to do.
right, because if people are coming to see you to support you in something, I feel like I should let them know, I'm not gonna be able to make it. I'll postpone it or reschedule, something like that. But I'm not gonna sit there and not say nothing because I feel like if these people are taking the time out their day to support me in something, I should have the courtesy enough to at least acknowledge them and let them know that hey, I'm not gonna be able to make it. This is what's gonna happen. Because that's just like the last show I did here. I got on the air and told people the reason why I'm not coming to New Orleans and Atlanta. But since I didn't come on this last book tour for those areas, I'm gonna put them on this upcoming one. And I haven't told them the date yet because me and my publicist are still working on trying to see what, as far as like my schedule, like what days and times could work best. So that way I won't want to run into a situation where I have to reschedule again.
Exactly. And that's one of the things, it's so big when you're in business or when you're anything you do. I always compare when I have my budgeting clients or clients that are new to working with a financial advisor or even an accountant. I always tell them, I say, look, I'm going to give you something that everybody can relate to. Everybody has heard of, been on some form or fashion of a diet. A diet is not restrictive. It's not to tell you, oh, you can't have this, you can't have that, you can't blah, 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 blah. A diet actually makes you prioritize what you want to eat.
Right.
It makes you think honestly about what you're putting into your body, and it's a choice. And so that's the same thing when you choose to be in business or you choose to do anything, you consciously make a decision about how you're going to spend your time. You consciously make a decision about the activities that you want to participate in. It's funny you mentioned you do have a personal life, you do have family time. If God says the same this year in August, I would have been with my husband 21 years. So he literally drops on my calendar, and people think it's so funny because I'm like, if I open up this Google Calendar, you will see he make appointments on his calendar. He don't put anything on it but say it's husband time. And it just
I know that's right.
time.
Come on,
That's what
husband.
I'm not speaking nowhere. I'm not going anywhere because we try to make sure that we connect at least every 7 days. I mean, yeah, we're in the same house. Most of the time we're in the same city. But there are times when he's going to bed when I'm waking up. I'm waking up when he's going to bed. I'm coming in, he's going out. But he will put days and times on the calendar and it's like, look, I don't care what you're doing. Saturday, 2 to 5 is my time.
I know that's right.
I'm not even working 2 to 5. Because you nurture the things that are important to you. I feed my relationship like I would take care of a plant, a kid, or anything else. I take care of my husband, so I make sure that he gets those hours that he's scheduled. He's not greedy. He just makes sure that he gets his time in.
And that's important because, because my father, his birthday, both my father and my mother birthdays on April 2nd. Anytime during that time frame, people was asking me to do stuff, I was like, nope. Now, at that point, I definitely not care about saying no because my dad is going to come first for anybody because, that's a family matter. So we celebrate his birthday and stuff like that. And I told him, I was like, well, I'm not going to be able to do it because I'm celebrating my father's birthday. I was like, okay. So anything with my family, off top, I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's Oprah. Sorry, Oprah, can't make it. So that in that situation, I will not feel bad about telling people I don't want to say it rudely or nothing like that, but I just let them know I won't be able to do it because I gotta, it's family time. But
no, you have to set boundaries to protect yourself because people will take advantage of your time, and out of all the things that you can get and all the things that you can get back, time is not one of them.
Right.
You can't get your time back.
Yeah, because anything pertaining, like if my nieces and nephews got something going on and it's like a big event, I don't care if it's, Drake or somebody come to Dallas. Sorry, can't make it. Because I just feel like, kind of what you said, we have to have balance. And I feel like that's the one thing I will say I do have is family work balance because, which is part of the reason why I wasn't here last month because of, like I said, what was going on back home. But even with that, we working out something where if I do have to be absent for an extended period of time, have somebody in my place, or at least have something, advertising what I got coming up in my absence. So that way, especially what we do here in media, that way people gonna be like, well, dang, is he still there? Is he coming back? That kind of stuff.
I always tell people to have a contingency plan, and people are like, why do you have a contingency plan? I'm like, look, tomorrow's not promised to any of us, but if you take the time to come to one of my events, if you take the time to do something, if I'm not available, I make sure that I have a speaker that's just as great as I am to show up. because you made the opportunity. And there was one event I really, really, really wanted to make, but I couldn't. Like you said, a situation came up. It was a family thing. Luckily, I work with other people in the field that do similar things that maybe not exactly what I do, but they do similar things. And I tell people, I don't compete with anybody. I collaborate. Because the minute you start competing, you've already lost.
Right.
So I reached out to a couple of people that I collaborated with. And so instead of the people that were going to the seminar getting just me, they actually got 2 speakers. And for the people that came and they let me know that they missed me and, hey, I really was looking forward to meeting with you, but I understood why you couldn't be there. I personally sent each one of them a gift certificate for a service from me. To the people that had registered that didn't reach out to me, I took their information from my subscription list and I called them and I said, hey, you signed up for an event. I was unable to make it, but I wanted to personally reach out to you and let you know how much that meant to me. And so I'm sure you got my information and I'm sure you got some of the things that were given to you. But what questions did you have? What can I answer for you? How can I serve you in this moment? Because you showed up for me, so let me show up for you.
Exactly. And that was one of the things that came up too about my absence because with what's going on now with these books, and especially now because my next book is going to be sold in Barnes and Noble. I'm excited, but I'm a little nervous because I'm going up against established authors and stuff like that. But I'm also concerned because I'm like, okay, that means a lot of my time is going to be potentially taken away from here in the coming months. So I've even considered looking into, like you were saying, getting other people to take my place here in my absence. Like I'm actually thinking about expanding my show too because I'm thinking about bringing in at least 1 or 2 more co-hosts for my show, so that way when I have to go do a book signing or something like that, and it happens to be on the weekend, or if I'm gone for like 2 or 3 weeks at a time, have them in my place to kind of keep my show going.
Yeah.
That's Dallas based, obviously. Have them here to take over while I'm here, and then I just pay them to do whatever I need to do. Or if I get asked to host an event or something like that, see if whoever the person is that want me to do it, see if they can allow them to do it for me in my absence, in case something like that happens. Because with these book signings, the good thing about it is, like I said, when I started my last book tour in October, it was in the beginning. It was fine as far as like my schedule because everything was placed perfectly. I was like, okay, I can do this because I went to Denver first that 3rd weekend in October. They put me in the Renaissance Hotel. They had everything mapped out, so it was perfect. I went to Salt Lake City in November. About a month later, same thing. Well, this is where the chaos came. I didn't know sending those book signings and speaking and stuff because I had to speak in Denver at that book signing. People who were sitting in that room were watching me. I didn't know who they were. Started following me on social media and had people reach out to me to do other stuff, which expanded my book tour to these other cities, and more opportunities came. But the opportunities started becoming a little overwhelming because when I looked at my schedule, what was coming up, I'm like, okay, I ain't gonna be able to do this, but I don't want to tell them no either. Because, especially how it happened.
Especially the way it came to you. It was
Right.
organic. You was like, I gotta take this opportunity.
Right. So it just kind of overwhelmed me a little bit because I'm like, oh my God. So I had to miss a couple of shows here and stuff to do it. But then it started getting to a point like recently when I started school, I was just like, I can't do this because I'm like, I'm gonna be too exhausted to even probably even stand up because that's just how bad it got. I mean, not bad, but like that's just how much it was coming. So that's why I had to get a publicist. We had to sit down and discuss some stuff and just try to map out this time on what not to do because I just can't do it on my own. And even with the social media stuff, like that's why I was telling you, send me that link you have where you can send all your posts in one thing because it gets hard sometimes. Cause like I
would definitely send you some resources.
Yeah, because I forget sometimes. Like I'll post something on Twitter, but then I forget to post it on like Facebook or TikTok, and it don't hit me till later on. It's like, oh God, I forgot to put it on there because I have different sets of audiences on different platforms. Like my 2 top platforms where I have the most people is like Twitter, Facebook, I really don't consider Facebook like that big of a deal because most of it's like my family and friends and stuff. But I do have a lot of connections through the other social media platforms that follow me on Facebook. But Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok are probably my biggest platforms. So now that I'm expanding to like I'm saying, using Instagram again, LinkedIn, I'm growing those networks too. So I want to be able to capture everybody. And then on YouTube.
Well, well, I definitely tell people it is. I didn't understand it growing up when you would hear your elders or your parents or just people in general say it takes a village. It does take a village to be
Hmm.
successful. It does take a village to do the things that you need to do because life sometimes just be out here life and
That
you're
part.
going down one path and you get a detour and you're like, okay, how do I get back to where I was or how do I even get back in this momentum? And one of the things I tell people, and I definitely want to highlight this because it's May, and Mental Health Awareness Month, we're so used to operating from a point of chaos and confusion that we think it's normal to be stressed, overworked, overwhelmed.
Exactly.
We don't know what it is to relax. We don't know what it is to take a moment to enjoy the blessings that we work so hard to attain. And so, one of the things that I've learned, and one of the things that I do once a year locally, and I think next year I'm going to expand it to another city, is I provide a daytime retreat. I rent a hotel.
Oh, come on
Thank
now,
God my husband's been in
Oprah.
hospitality for 30 years, so I rent a hotel and I rent like little boutique hotels that only have 10, maybe 12 rooms, and I rent the entire building. And I invite clients that are overworked, overwhelmed, and stressed, and I'm like, hey, I need you from Friday to Sunday. Friday night, we kind of just do a little meet and greet with some appetizers. Depending on the weather and the time of year, I do it. We may do a fire pit with some floors. Saturday, we don't talk about any business all day Saturday. Saturday, we just talk about what's going on in your life.
Right.
What are your pain points? What are your pressure points? How can we relieve them? And then I give new businesses an opportunity. There was a young lady, she had just graduated massage school and she was looking for clients. And I said, hey, what would you charge me to give about 10 or 20 people a 15-minute massage? And I'm going to bring all the people. They're going to be in one space. I will make sure you have your tables. I'll make sure you have whatever you need to sanitize. But I want to rotate these women in and out. I want to rotate these entrepreneurs in and out so they can just feel what it's like to get a massage. Make sure you bring your cards. Make sure you bring your A game and your professionalism because you're interviewing with each of these people as a potential client in the future. And she's told me how much that's meant to her from those 20 people, word of mouth. She was just referred to other people that, hey, this lady gives a neck massage. She also offers a full body massage. She's a mobile masseuse. She will come to you. I gave a small business the opportunity to decorate the suite. Each room was themed. I'm a little nerdy, so don't judge me. We did a theme from Monopoly. Every room in that 12 hotel room suite was, hey, you was on Boardwalk, you was at Marvin Gardens, you was at St. Charles. Everything was themed. And when they left, instead of it being a typical retreat telling you what you're doing wrong in your business, they were just refreshed and relaxed. I actually sent them home with a QR code that said, okay, now that you're relaxed, you can actually focus on these are things that you may want to implement in your business. Because I listen to them talk. You don't know how much you learn from people when they're in a relaxed state. When they feel they're in a safe space, they will actually tell you where their pain points are. They'll tell you the things that they need. And so you just listen. And I took notes the whole weekend listening to what my clients needed, where their pressure points were. I saw some clients that were symbiotic. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to connect this person with this person. I'm going to connect this person and that person because they can help each other. And so I worked that weekend, but nobody knew I was working. I sat around, I listened, I had my notebook, I took it everywhere I went. And by the end of the weekend, I got my content creator together. We sat down and we wrote out things that I did a QR code. And I gave people 2 different QR codes. If I was connecting you with somebody else, I gave you a QR code that you could scan and you could see who you need to connect with. But if there were just some general business tips that you needed, if there was just some coaching you needed, I gave you access to those resources, and then I gave you a scheduling link to say, hey, you need to schedule with me so you can do X, Y, Z.
Right. Because it does get hectic, but I've gotten better with it since the fall because, like I said, people, every month they'll, send me invitations or ask me to do certain things. And I tell them, I don't tell them yes or no on the spot. I tell them just give me some time, let me look over it and stuff like that now, because I see now 2024 is going to be extremely busy in a good way, but I don't want to do
Mm-hmm.
like I did last year where I was overcommitting, having to postpone stuff, having to cancel, thinking I could do it on my own, but it's too much because like you were saying, life be life, and because me helping other people, traveling here, going there, and trying to maintain opportunities up here, it becomes overwhelming in the sense where it's like, okay, I got to sit down and figure out something because this ain't gonna work. Because um, I don't want to be stressed out, tired, and overworked because I feel like I'm not giving my best when I'm like that. And kind of like what you just said, we've become a society where we kind of do that. We kind of work stressed out, tired, um, and then we kind of not feeling good afterwards. I don't want to do that. I want to make sure everywhere I
But I mean,
go. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, but you learn from your mistakes. So many people are afraid to make those mistakes, and I tell people all the time, do you know the scientist that invented penicillin? Penicillin was a total mistake. There's value in the mistakes that you make. You learn what not to save and teach somebody else in the future. So don't ever discount the mistakes that you made. Just don't make them again. I
Hmm.
tell people, one time it's a mistake. A couple of times I may even give you that, but 3, 4 times it's a habit.
Right.
You have to learn what works for your brand. Things that work for me may not work for you. Things that work for you may work well for some of my clients, but they may not work well for others. So it's a situational where you have to grow and evolve depending on your unique situation. So don't ever feel like because you weren't able to make every event that you failed somewhere. We've been taught that there's no value in failure, but there is.
Yeah.
Somebody had to try it and fail in order for somebody else to succeed.
Right. And I kind of did feel like that in a sense too at the time because I was like, dang, I don't tell these people no. They probably like, well, we can't deal with him. He too busy. You can't never get him. Da, da, da. So kind of what you just said. Somebody else told me something similar a couple of months ago. That was like, well, look, if you just can't do it, you just can't do it. Somebody don't fall out from exhaustion because you can't. Somebody if they can't appreciate your or respect your time, then you don't need to deal with them. So I've grown to learn that, and like even like these book tours now, they want to expand it to more cities. Because the last time I only scheduled 5, and then 2 overseas. But I'm looking into that now. That's why I told people I haven't posted the times, dates, and locations just yet because we still sorting that out to see like when can I do this? What's the best time to do it? But I took the summer off going into the fall because I was like, well, I did tell her I said, well, I can at least do at least like 5 cities I know for sure because they want to do at least like 10. I said I can probably do 10. I said we just need to make sure so going forward, if I have anything else I committed to, it won't interfere with that. So that's why now I'm telling people if you want me to do something, let me know by the end of this month because after the 31st, I won't be taking a lot of requests unless it's something like if it's something minor like um, people want me to come like during the week just come speak about something random like health and fitness or something. That's no problem. Um, but if it's something big like you want me to come to a different city or a different part of DFW to do something for like an hour plus, I kind of need to know in advance to kind of map out my schedule. But yeah, it's different. But like, now how long now with the consulting firm like uh, running that and your other businesses? Um, do you think that you'll probably bring in or add additional people to your team?
I definitely am looking at the quality of my team and what I'm missing and what I need. And I do think as my business evolves, I know more what I need. Like first I thought I could do all my social media, all my scheduling. Having a social media manager is amazing. Having someone do my scheduling is amazing. But also I do want people that will respond to specific requests. I've trained a couple of people that are in school right now, I always try to reach out to universities, particularly HBCUs, and there are a few in New Orleans that I can reach out to and say, hey, you have someone in business administration. I want to reach out to them and train them how to actually do entity formation in the state of Louisiana, because Louisiana is different from any of the other 50 states. But in addition to that, I reach out and say, hey, I can train them in the other 49 states as well. So I give students real world experience. If the opportunities align and the cash flow is there, I also pay them from their experience. But I want you to have something workable on your resume, because the biggest problem students face graduating, you have this piece of paper, but you have no experience. Or you have people that have experience without the piece of paper. I make sure when you leave school, you have both.
That part. Come on now. Yeah, that's important
So
because
those are the things that I'm doing. I tell people, when you're looking for social media managers and you're not exactly sure what you want, start with your universities around you and find someone in the marketing department and give a student an opportunity, because you and that student will grow together and you'll learn what you need and they'll learn how to deal with the real world and working for someone other than themselves.
no, and that's true, because I have been doing that, because I've also since January, there are a few people I've been looking at, kind of what I was just telling you, like in case of my absence here, like if I had to be gone for like another month or something doing book signings, and I just can't get no way around it just to do it on Saturdays. I've been looking at some people to take over for me while I'm gone, but I'm also gonna post it on social media to anybody who's interested, to let them know that I'll probably be doing interviews here soon to kind of see, are you gonna be a perfect fit? Do you have personality? Are you a people person? Because a lot of stuff that we do here in media, you have to be a people person. You can't be standoffish or introverted or nothing like that. You have to be able to, be friendly. And not only that, just love what you're doing, because I don't want to ever connect myself with somebody or recommend somebody to T that they don't click, or he or she may, may be in for the wrong reasons. So it's something I've been thinking about. I'm looking into, and we actually, me and my fellows, we've just trying to see how can we make this work, because I have a feeling this year I'm gonna be gone out of Dallas quite a bit. I'm gonna be traveling out of a suitcase, because, and not just for the book signings, but also, I'm coming out with a comic book too, like an adult comic book, and I'm not going to Comic-Con this year, the one in San Diego, because the weekend that is scheduled, I'll be doing something else. So I'm gonna wait and do that next year. But everything else, and I will be attending one in New York and Los Angeles in October. So that's why I was like, I got to figure out something, because I was also talking to someone else about like stepping in, while I'm not here, to see if you can kind of keep my content going on and also introduce them to my audience and get people familiarized with them, so they can get used to them too, just in case if I'm not here, they be like, well, who is this? I don't know who this is, that kind of stuff.
Oh, but definitely, when we're offline and I send you some resources, I'm going to send you some ideas for that as well, because there are some things that I learned during the pandemic that you can do and your audience won't even know you're not there.
Right. And then too, if I just can't, I've also come up with the idea that if I just can't find somebody who I feel like is a perfect fit, if I happen to be gone like a Saturday or something, just pre-record some stuff and post it to my social media platforms.
Exactly.
Which I think I'll find some people, because I just want to keep my name out there, in the sense where people won't be thinking like, well, because I did have some people say that recently, like when I was gone in March, some people was not people that I know, people who listen to my show inboxing me saying, hey, I haven't seen any activity from you in about a couple of weeks. I was wondering, are you still on the air? Da-da-da. So I would respond to them like, yeah, I'm still here. I'm just kind of, I would tell them I got some personal stuff going on. Da-da-da. I said, okay. So I try to keep them informed. And even if I don't go on the air, I still try to post stuff. So that way they know, okay, well, he's still obviously doing something. He's just not on the air for some reason. So I do try to keep them up to date on certain stuff, to let them know I'm still here. Just life is just getting busier.
Look, I always start to your audience, thank you for helping me grow because of the tremendous growth that's going on. You may not get me in the way that you're familiar with, but I'm still here, I'm still there. And if you don't hear me on the air, you may find me on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. Just let them know where you're going to be.
Exactly, and that's what I try to do. And because I really do appreciate the audiences too that listen, because I got people that listen from all over the country, and they don't have to listen to you. They could be like, I ain't listening to him. I'm gonna go to So I try to always let them know what's going on to say, well, hey, this even with like I said with these book signings, like the ones I had in Denver, Salt Lake City, and here in Dallas, like the people that came, shoot, they could have stayed at home. Because I mean, when I was especially the one here in Dallas, like it was so many people that came and bought books and stuff like that, and sold out. Like they didn't have to do that. So that's why I feel like if I'm not gonna be able to make it to a certain location, I definitely want to let them know. So in the event when I actually am able to attend, they'll come, and that's how you build relationships and stuff. Because actually, most of these people I've been meeting at these book signings, that's how I've been getting all these different opportunities.
Exactly. But I tell people all the time, you never know where your next blessing is going to come from.
That part.
You never know who you're going to meet that's putting your path to elevate you to the next level. I mean, who would have thought you're my honorary cousin? But I'm like, hey, we've never met. We connected on social media. Your message resonated with me. And we've been rocking ever since. There are so many people that I've met in that space that have become friends, that have become family, that have become people that I trust to advise me in certain areas. Versus if you keep your hand closed, I always tell people that when you gatekeep, you try to steady yourself and keep your hand closed. You're not only keeping that information, but you're unable to receive other information as well. And so I do value people's time. I tell people you have to be mindful, respectful, and prioritize other people's time. When you tell them that you're going to do something to the best of your ability, if you can, do it. But if you can't, it is what it is, but at least give them an answer as to why you were unable to do those things.
Exactly.
And I really value when you say, hey, when I can't make it, I do let them know X, Y, and Z. Because people respect it. They may not say it to you in that moment, but they will tell you, I appreciate I came out to see you and you weren't there, but you let me know why you weren't there, why you couldn't be there in this moment.
Right, because I do feel like it's important. Well, for me, I feel like it's important because it's something that I would want. Like if I'm going out of my way to do something, or if I'm going to support somebody, I would like to know like why you're not coming. Because I'm like especially if you don't say the reason why, and then we just all show up or something. So I always try to. I've always been like that anyway. Because if I know for sure that I can't do something, or I'm not going to do it, I'm going to wait till I know for sure I can't do it. And if I know I can't do something, I'm going to let that person know. Because I don't want them to sit there, be waiting to see like, well, is he coming? Or is he going to do this? Because I don't want them to ever have that question mark by me like, how's Zhamir? He's sometimes, that kind of stuff. So I like to let people know what I can and cannot do. Because I don't ever want to overcommit to them in that sense where they like, well, he said he coming here, on May 4th at 3 p.m., but it's 3:30. He ain't said nothing. We ain't seen him walk through the door or nothing. Like I don't want people to ever feel that way because I know I'll be looking sideways too. Like, wait a minute, this fool ain't coming up here for real.
Exactly. I mean, not to speak ill of anybody, but Lauryn Hill's reputation. I love her as a singer. I love her music. But I don't buy concert tickets, so I know she's already in the city.
Wait, hold up. Who you say again?
Lauren said to flake out on me.
Oh, yeah. She did. Now, she wrong for that. Because, I know she did that here in, was it Dallas? Or was it somewhere else? She didn't even show up at all. And then I think when she did show up late, she told them something like, you better be glad I showed up at all or something. I'm like, really?
Oh, yeah. She did that in New Orleans here. She came
it was in New Orleans?
4 hours late, and she was like, you should be lucky that I came. This is such a small venue, and I'm like, well, ma'am, you should be lucky that they spent their money with you.
That part. Yeah, see, that to me,
People
that's disrespectful.
Their dollars and I tell people all the time, if you ask somebody, I used to do customer service training, if you ask somebody what was the worst experience they had at a store or a restaurant or whatever, they don't have just one story. They have 5 to 7 places that did them wrong. Somewhere in there, you're going to hear Walmart didn't do what they were supposed to do. You're going to hear about some restaurant, but you can turn that question around and ask somebody what's the best customer service experience they had. And it's almost like you can hear a pin drop. They literally have to think about where they had good customer service. When somebody asks that question, I want to be the answer.
Exactly.
I want to be right. I went with the manual group and she did X, Y, and Z.
Right, and I think that's disrespectful, especially the way she did that. Talking about some, you look at showed up, because it's like, lady, people spent their hard-earned money to come and support your music and to show they was a fan of you, and you go sit there and say, take your time, be arrogant and stuff, like like screw y'all, basically, in so many words.
But she doesn't generate the same sales that she used to, because what people fail to realize in this age of social media is that those things go viral now, and it's not where it's an isolated incident and it's hearsay. Now everybody has a phone, everybody's a journalist, everybody's a reporter. They post it, it goes around the internet. People that may have been considering to come see you hear what you said in one market, and they're like, let me keep my coins in my pocket.
Right.
Because everything is higher now, so I'm very cautious of what I spend my money on. And if you're not going to appreciate my dollar will be appreciated sitting in my pocket.
That part. Yes, I think that kind of stuff is very important, especially when you got a huge following of supporters and people who believe in what you're doing and want to see you do good. I feel like you are obligated to make sure that, in a sense, they kind of like your kids. You make sure they're taken care of. Like, you don't ever want to leave them hanging or leave them wondering, like, okay, is Zhamir gonna do X, Y, Z? So yeah, but we don't run out of time. So if you could, real quick before we go off the air, just tell people, whether it's a client or people who looking to your website or get your services, where can they find the information at?
You can find me online at themanualgroup.com, www.themanualgroup.com. I'm on Instagram as at MGLLC NOLA. I'm also on Facebook at MGLLC NOLA. And I will definitely be sending Zhamir my QR code. It has everything you ever want to know about me. And just, hey, you have questions, reach out to me. Let me know what they are. I do service all 50 states and 2 countries. So there's not too much that you're going to look for in the business arena that I can't help you with. And if I can't provide the service, I provide concierge services where I can find someone that can assist you.
I know that's right. Yeah, because I'll be doing a call here in a few minutes about that too. But yeah, so thank you so much for giving us the information, and I'll see you all here next Saturday here on DFWIRadio.com.